Welcome back, my hypersexual beings. This is what's going on. I'm on to the final step, pretty much the final step. I still have to do the upholstery, but I want to go through a few things because I know these are like the most common questions that I get when it comes down to the things that I have made in the past. First things first, I need to go through and I need to sand the spanking bench. After I sand it down, then I'm going to use my Varathane Renoke wood stain. This is kiln dried whitewood, in case you're wondering what kind of wood this is. And then I'm going to use my polyurethane, which is also the Varathane brand, to do a top coat over top of this to completely seal it so no oils or other juices can get into the wood, so I can disinfect the spanking bench appropriately after it has been used. So these are my top favorite things to use when I am doing the staining and the polyurethane over top of it. Now with this, when you use these products, you're going to need gloves. I always apply with a microfiber towel. I do not like to use paper towels because it leaves like little pieces of paper towel behind, and I'll need a little tiny paintbrush to get in the nooks and crannies. But first I'm going to go through and I'm gonna sand this guy down. I've already sanded it like a few times, but just to make sure that everything is exactly how I want it. And after I sand everything, you need to clean your space, because if there's wood chips or if there's residue left behind from the sanding process, you need to get rid of it because it will stick to the thing that you are painting, and you do not want that stuff sticking to it, because then you'll have to sand the piece again and redo it, and you do not want to do that. So let's move on to the next step, which is sanding. As I'm sanding, I'm going through and I'm like feeling it up to make sure that everything is smooth and there's no splinters. Now, I do not have a router, so instead of using a router, I cut like on the edges on here and on here. I cut the sandpaper like around these edges and then go back and forth to round them out so that they're nice and smooth and it's not a harsh edge. So if you don't have a router, you can hand sand it. Yes, it's gonna take more time, but I don't have a router, so that is what I'm doing. Now that I've went through and sanded this, I'm probably gonna double check it like a million more times before I put the stain on here. Like even like see, I'm like finding little spots still. I'm going to take a brush and dust this whole guy off. Make sure I get in all these like little cracks and stuff. And after I do that, I will set it to the side. And once it's set, sorry. And then I will set it to the side, clean the area, and then get ready to stain it. Now that I'm done sanding and I dusted it off, I went ahead, put it over to the side for now. And what I'm going to do next is I'm gonna clean my area really, really good so that I can move on to the staining process. Area's clean, everything is ready to go. The next thing that I'm gonna do, well, you guys are gonna need gloves, so make sure you get your gloves on. With the stain, I have my paintbrush ready and I have this ready. I'm gonna start on the bottom first, get the bottom of it done, and then flip it over. So we're gonna shake this up, open this guy. Now, you can put something on your floor, but I don't know if you've seen my garage floor, but there's paint and stain and other stuff all over the place. I may have said this already, but this is the Renoke, and this is the same exact color that I used on the rest of my BDSM equipment that I have made. So with the microfiber towel, I'm just gonna dunk it in here. Oh, it's so pretty, look at that. Yes. Now that I have cross-checked my work a million times, the stain needs to dry, and for this one, I don't think I'm gonna use my roll polyurethane like with a brush and rolling it out, since I do have the can, because there are so many cracks and angles and stuff that I'm gonna need to make sure I get the polyurethane on. So with that, I'm gonna use the spray can for this project instead of the regular roll out or paintbrush type of paint. Yes, okay, so we're gonna let that sit, and then next we'll do the polyurethane. I set a timer for 1 hour because that's how long this stain takes to dry. And while I'm waiting, I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna do the non-slip piece on the bottom. I have an old yoga mat. If you wanna get a cheap yoga mat, you can go to a store like Five Below. Got this thing for $5. And my cat decided to claw at it, so I'm just gonna use this. Now, I have my roll mat and I have my pinwheel here. I think I measured it 20 inches, which this is longer than that. Okay, so I know that I have an inch that I need to cut off of the side, a little bit smaller because I don't want it to stick off the sides too much. I'm gonna take my pinwheel and we're just gonna cut this yoga mat. And then, now that I have this strip, all I'm gonna do when that's done drying is I'm gonna use my staple gun to place this on the bottom, and it'll keep it from sliding around on the floor. I might even make one to go across the bottom. You know what, why not? We're already doing it. Let's just do the whole thing. I have my pieces to make it non-slip on the bottom. So they're ready now, so whenever this guy is dry and I get all the rest of it finished, I can go ahead and apply these. I don't know if you could see in the video, but there's these parts where there was wood glue that I tried to sand off completely, and it looks like little spots were missed. So I'm going through and touching that up right now because my perfectionist side is kicking in once again. So if you saw that, no, I didn't miss a spot. I'm working on it. So touch-ups. It is time for the polyurethane. Before I get into this, I want to mention some things. So the stain said it was an hour dry time. Please read directions on the stain that you guys use and the polyurethane that you're using. Because even though it said an hour, I tested it and it was not dry. So I left it on for another hour to be safe, okay? Make sure that you read the directions, because the humidity can mess up the paint job. Not only will the humidity mess it up, but the temperature outside. I waited to do this for the perfect day because of the temperature outside. So typically, what's the temperature between? It should be between like 55 and below 90 degrees, I think. God, I know this writing is so tiny. Okay, I was right, yeah, 55 or below 90 degrees, because if it's too hot, it won't dry up right, and if it's too cold, it's not going to cure appropriately. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. On here it says 4 hours, and then it'll be dry, but I always let my stuff sit longer than that just to make sure that it's completely cured before I do another coat. Now, I'm just gonna show on the video me doing one coat, but I'm probably gonna come back and do multiple coats. Do not go heavy with polyurethane, because if you do go too thick with it, it's not going to dry right. It is better to do multiple thin layers than to do heavy, thick layers, okay? So let's get into this now. First coat is on. I'm going to wait 4 hours. I'm gonna come back and test a spot that you can't really see, like underneath where I sprayed, to make sure that it is fully dried and cured before I do my next coat. Update. The polyurethane has dried, but here's the dilemma. The temperature is going to drop tonight, so I am not going to do a second coat this evening, because of the temperature drop. Yeah, I could probably put a space heater in the garage, but I don't want the garage to get too warm, because that can also mess up how it dries. So I'm gonna wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow is supposed to be a beautiful day. The temperature will be perfect all day long, so I'm gonna get up really early and get that next coat on there. And then by the time I get done with my work day, I should be able to come back and do a third coat if it needs it. But I just wanted to add this in so that you guys take into consideration the weather in your area when you are using polyurethane. Okay, it is super early, so it is still kind of dark. I have the garage door cracked open, but I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna put the second coat of polyurethane on this guy really, really quick. I'm gonna move on with the rest of my day, and then I'm gonna come back and do another coat, possibly, we'll see. So stay tuned. She's looking beautiful. Here's the deal. I think I'm only gonna need one more coat of polyurethane, which I'm gonna do right now and just get it over with. So I'm not gonna film it, just gonna bust it out, and then I will show you guys how to install the pieces on the bottom to make it so it doesn't slip around on the floor when, you know, things start happening. Now I'm going to attach the yoga mat to the bottom of it to keep it from sliding around. I've already cut my pieces like I showed earlier. I have my staple gun, and we're just going to apply this to the bottom. So I will make another video on how to do the upholstery. Yeah.